Hello Raiders and weather fans, meteorologist Miss Katie Whittaker here with your official Red Hook High School and Mid-Hudson Valley forecast for the week of December 14th, 2020. Well, it was a chilly day across New York State, and you can take a look at those observations on that map, and it's pretty blue across New York. Temperatures range from the upper 30s along Long Island to 30s throughout most of the rest of the state. You'll see a couple of pockets of 20 there, not surprisingly in the Adirondacks where we do see those higher elevations. You'll see that the observations at Red Hook this morning, temperatures were around 33 degrees Fahrenheit, and it stayed around there for most of the day. The cloud cover and precipitation didn't allow for much warming or cooling, actually. It snowed for most of the day. We didn't pick up too much accumulation here. You can see on the ground that it is pretty much melted, and that's because the surface temperatures are actually in the upper 30s. But the fact that we saw snow is an indication that the upper atmosphere is cold. Once snow melts, it can never become snow again until it goes back up in the clouds and the clouds do their snow magic. We'll get more into snow magic in another episode. All right, now let's get to the main story. Everyone keeps asking me about the storm coming up for the end of the weekend, so let's get right to it. If you take a look at the surface analysis map, you'll see the pressure system that was to our south has moved offshore. It's no longer visible on this map. This map is valid for Tuesday morning. So the system that brought precipitation for Monday was to our south, and we were on the north edge of that storm, and that's why we saw the snow showers. If you look in the middle of the country where you see the dark blue surrounded by the light blue, that is the low pressure system that we are watching for Wednesday into Thursday. So that low pressure system will track towards the southeast and then scoop up along the eastern seaboard, and where that sets up will really determine the picture for our weather forecast here. Now, when low pressure systems line up along the coastline, that creates something known as a nor'easter. A nor'easter simply means northeasterly winds. So you have low pressure along the coastlines, the winds are wrapping around that low pressure in a counterclockwise rotation. That's what low pressure always does. And so when the low pressure is off the coast, winds are backing in off the ocean, northeasterly winds, nor'easter. With the northeasterly winds, because the ocean is there, it brings in a lot of moisture. Now, if the low pressure system sets up right on that coastline, we could see up to a foot to a foot and a half of snow here, but the forecasting models that I'm seeing so far are putting out about 7 inches of snowfall, so I would say 5 to 9 inches for a safe range, but that number could significantly increase depending on that lineup. So actually, if you take a look at the breakdown for the storm system, it looks like it's going to be starting in the evening time on Wednesday. I have it starting mostly after midnight, but I am starting to see some newer forecast data that's showing it starting more maybe around 7 p.m. So for my start time, I put between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m., but it's definitely possible to see a couple of snow showers ahead of that time period. Snowfall overnight Wednesday into your Thursday morning. I think it'll be tapering off by mid-morning or so. And again, accumulations 5 to 9 inches, but again, that number could bump up very, very quickly. Now, what I like about this storm system as far as snow cover goes is the temperature. It's going to be cold behind the storm system on Monday. Very cold air has moved in, and that will be in place for Wednesday into Thursday's. Temperature for the entire storm looks to be in the 20s, so well below the freezing mark. So I think it will be cold enough for the snow to stick. What I don't like is the high pressure system set up over Canada, because that high pressure system could cause the low pressure setting up for the nor'easter to get pushed offshore, and so that could really push down our numbers and actually make it so that it's pretty much a bust. I don't think that's going to happen, because the models have been showing this storm for a week now, and anytime those storm systems show up early on in the data and it's consistently there across the board, it hasn't been back and forth at all, it has been showing in the data. So I do think the storm system will set up, but I do have to mention that possibility that high pressure in Canada could force it offshore. So we'll have to see. It's very, very interesting for sure. Now, my shout out this week goes out to Kay Fletcher and Don Fletcher, of course, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Your forecast for this week, I think your best day will be Tuesday, mostly sunny skies, highs in the mid-30s. And for your storm system, I think you're around that foot mark, but for your area, it looks like a little bit more in the way of possibly mixed precipitation. So depending how much mixing takes place, that will certainly affect the snow accumulations for Lancaster. The gradient there with the snowfall is very, very tight between Philadelphia and where you are in Lancaster. So a foot, but then again, if it has more mixing, you could only see a few inches. So sort of a borderline situation for you. And winds will definitely be a story, especially for Thursday for the Lancaster area. For here in the Mid-Hudson Valley and for Red Hook, let's take take a look at that 5-day forecast. So I think we will also have our best day on Tuesday with sunny skies, highs in the mid-30s, and then watch those temperatures tank the lows for Wednesday and Thursday in the mid-teens. Temperatures will struggle to hit the 30-degree mark. Finally clearing out, it looks like for Friday, mix of sun and clouds, highs in the mid-30s. And for Saturday, mostly sunny with highs in the upper 40s. One last thing that I want to mention before I sign off for this week is that Jupiter and Saturn will be in conjunction on next Monday. That's the 21st. They'll be very, very close to each other. Some people think that that's like the Star of Bethlehem. There has been some conflicting reports on if it was what was referenced or not. It's really hard to know if that's the case. But this is a very rare event that those two planets are very, very close together. It'll be a really cool astronomical event if the skies are clear. Right now, it looks partly cloudy. So keeping our fingers crossed that the weather will be calm and clear. I will be posting updates on my YouTube page and on my Facebook page about that because it is a pretty cool astronomical event that's very, very rare. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's Weather with Whittaker, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Stay safe, and Lila, thank you so much for producing my forecast for me.